We are the restaurant brokers, and we sell restaurants.
We started the nation's largest restaurant brokerage firm over a decade ago.
Atlanta, Georgia was our starting point, but our brand is spreading nationwide. We define restaurant brokerage and help buyers just like these.
Our dream, our goal, open up a restaurant, loving life, serving people breakfast and lunch, and then enjoying the rest of the day with them and ourselves.
Buying an existing restaurant, leasing a closed restaurant space, or purchasing a restaurant franchise. We help buyers satisfy their appetite for acquisition.
I'm part of a husband and wife team with this fella.
Working with my wife has been a lot of fun. The ultimate goal for everybody here is to make this work. And because we have different strengths, we bring different angles to the deal.
The process begins with our powerhouse website, WeSellRestaurants.com, where buyers sign online confidentiality agreements and browse restaurants for sale.
Then we send buyers undercover to check out a restaurant and decide if it's the right one for them.
Buyers get our proprietary business analysis tool with all the financial details on the business for sale.
After studying the restaurant inside and out, it's back to our office.
We are deal makers. We write contracts and negotiate terms for buyers and sellers. That's why we sell more restaurants than any other firm in the nation. We are the restaurant brokers. Our name says it all. That sound means you're back on the air with the restaurant brokers, and we are up against restaurant reality. That's the point where we take what we have learned today and start applying it to the real world scenario. And Eric, I cannot think of a better show where we can really take what we talked about and convert that into restaurant reality, because some of these trends, it's not just the trend itself, but it's the way they capture the overall trend in speaking to the millennial audience as such a huge game changer. It's not just if you're not on trend, it's if you haven't even associated yourself with the idea of they want it now, they want what they want it right this minute. If you're not on top of that trend, then you're missing the boat altogether, right?
That's right, and they want what they love, not just anything. So that's very interesting. If you've been listening to the show for a while, we think outside the box, and the restaurant reality is about that. And today, that's the validation. You have to start thinking way outside the box. But also, one thing that Amanda said, you got to know who you are. You can't just go and apply all these things. If you go download their report and apply all of them, you're probably going to have a giant mess pretty quickly. So there's
a phrase we use in the marketing world. It's called the muddled middle ground. That's where you never ever want to be, because your client can't find you there if you try to be a little bit of everything. And I really believe that's what she was speaking to. So yes, if you are a vegan concept, it makes absolutely no sense to go with pâtés and a lot of meat spreads. Doesn't make any sense for you. But if you're a veggie concept, then making sure that your high points on your menu don't any longer speak to beet as the main star, and they are speaking to cauliflower and starting to push the envelope into radish, does make some sense. And so a restaurateur should really take this report, really study it, mark it up. I was so intrigued. I saw you at breakfast. Eric had the report out. He was marking it up and making a note here and a note there, because that's how we stay on trend as well as restaurant brokers.
I know. I got so many notes, to share. They talk about staying relevant. And so that doesn't mean that, you've been in business 50 years, you change your core things, but you have to stay relevant. You have to adapt, whether it's technology, whether it's adapt. One thing that resonated really well with me that Amanda says, the people, the new millennials, so like it or not, you're going to have to get into your restaurant one way or the other. Whatever you do, you're going to have to get them in, because they are going to spend the money, but they want the story. They want to be told the story, where it comes from, what is it. And that's very important. So how do you do that? And one thing that I really want to stress to you guys is whatever ideas you get from this report, which is free, by the way, so go and download it as soon as you can, is I like from the technology people, when they have environment. Robin and I learned a lot about technology as we grow We Sell Restaurants, is there's a testing environment. They build it. They build it in a totally separate area, so your chef can have a separate place. He goes and do these things. Kind of, say, yeah, I like this. Then we test it into some kind of environment. Then we kind of put it live into not a real live environment. So maybe like in the case of a restaurant, maybe it's a daily special or limited time offer.
Or guess what? A picture on your social media channels that says, what do you think?
There you go. So all the above. And then eventually you get something to go on your menu. So it's like, let's see here. Yeah, radishes are great, so let's put radishes in every one of our salads tomorrow. Not going to work. So you have to have a plan to do this. And if you look at a lot of these things, honestly, they're not very costly. This is what excites me about this, Robin.
Yeah, but we didn't even get into the the meat of this, because I'm totally fascinated by the yesterday, today, and tomorrow. So yesterday, Asian fusion, right? We've all been there, done that. So tired of it. The today, it's French. Of course, French is just classic, but the flavors and the layering and the techniques of French cooking being part of the landscape is very much today. Guess where we're going, Eric? Can't cheat.
I would guess Hispanic.
No, that's it. We're moving to Spanish. So from Asian fusion to French to Spanish. And that's, you see it in the trend. So, for example, Taco Mania, that becomes one of the huge things. So we're talking about every level of the business. The tacos are not just the food truck.
Yep.
They are at the highest order of restaurants today and elevated all the way through. Spice Baby, that's another trend. And muy caliente, I think I said that right. Tapas and tapas style menus. So that's that Spanish influence.
Yeah, I mean, here's the good news. You see more spices, less fat. Well, fat typically means butters, lards, everything like that. Expensive. Spices, a lot less. So if you start moving to spices, food costs may come down. See, this is also some of the benefit. I really like what you talk about. Candy. It costs less than a penny. Very memorable piece. You can put that out there. This restaurant, I think it was Simple Farm in Scottsdale, Arizona. What about a great way to be memorable and to take something home with you? I've read also in the report at some places, a breakfast place, they go above and beyond that. When you leave after breakfast, they actually have a box lunch that they hand to you for lunch.
See, it would have occurred to me when she was talking about the candy. What's the last thing you typically get at the restaurant?
The check.
That's right. So the last thing you're doing is pulling out your credit card and spending money, which is our least favorite thing to do. So just what happened? You just supplanted that memory in the mind of the consumer and substituted something fantastic for that. Couldn't be better. I love that trend. And I mean, I think it would really do every restaurateur in the world some good, even if they went so far as to, I know a candy mint company that will produce a really special type of a mint. And so instead of paying, a quarter of a penny for a mint, you pay 3 cents, but it's a delicious chocolate covered and embossed mint that says your name. That still leaves an impression so far above and beyond. So there's places to go that aren't all the way to, having to craft something that'll cost you $1.
That's right. And one thing we haven't talked about with Amanda, or I'd like to point out, is for those of you on breakfast and lunch, especially in the lunch business, lunch is changing. The long lunches where people go out for an hour and a half to lunches, this is a shrinking segment. People are now eating more and more at their desk. So that changes the dynamics. If you're in the lunch business, they're saying that to-go, carry-out, delivery, catering are all options that you must be refreshing your offering. So the grab-and-go is getting very, very popular, so you must do something about that and adjust accordingly. Know who you are, who your customer are. Ask them, what can I do on a grab and go? Because it's not easy just to build a bunch of sandwiches and put them in your deli case. So you got to look at that.
Well, and also make a plan to say, okay, if that lunch business is shrinking, if I used to have between 11 and 2, and that used to be 50 covers, and it's down to 11:30 to 1:30, and it's 30 covers, how do I make up that volume? So there are other trends that they speak to in here. One of them that I liked was the all together now. So kind of a prefix menu on a Sunday supper where a lot of people come in. So Sunday supper, so Sunday lunch is typically kind of a good time, especially in the South, the after church crowd. But Sunday supper's never been a big time. So then you take the trend information and you build that volume back. So maybe you're never going to get back that long lunch, and you can pick up part of it with to-go. How do you get the volume back at different other parts of the week? And you have to be very targeted and specific and creative about where that happens.
Yeah, and I really like the one free thing that Amanda said. Look at the people featured in your local magazines and newspapers and see what they're doing and kind of follow along that line. That should help you in your marketplace to have some more relevant things to your menu. So read, travel. These guys travel a lot. And go out there and explore and take notes and see how it can adapt to your concept. I think that's one good way to go. And if it all fails, then you go to We Sell Restaurants and you find a new place in a small town and start over at WeSellRestaurants.com.
That's right. And they can start over. One of those trends I loved, we have been talking about it for years. You don't have to be in the NFL city. There's small cities where the prices are right and your occupancy cannot be quite so high. So join us online. You know where to find us. WeSellRestaurants.com. We're the largest restaurant brokerage company in the nation based on the number of listings, transaction count, and volume. We are currently recruiting for agents and franchising nationwide. We have offices in Florida, Colorado, South Carolina, Tennessee, and Georgia. You want to join us? Give us a call, 404-800-6700.